Hey there guys, in this video we're going to be doing all 5 bosses of the Xenogears Vision World again, but this time we're going to be slowing it down a bit. We're going to be going a lot more budget. I'm going to be explaining mechanics, explaining what's going on, etc. My first clear was, my quick, easy, overpowered clear. This is the actual guide video. So before we get started, I'm going to explain just quickly what Vision World is, how it works, for those of you that maybe didn't do the first Vision World on Global and aren't really sure what's going on here. If you just want to see the bosses, I'll add timestamps to all 5 of the bosses, and you can skip around or just skip straight to the fights if you want to just go into that. But as far as Vision Worlds, what is Vision World? Vision World is basically a mixture of like a Mog farming event, kind of, and Dark Visions. So first of all, we're going to talk about the crafting. So all of these bosses drop crafting materials when you kill them. And this is used to upgrade the event gear up to level 5 or +4, base +4. You get the original piece of gear from King Mog in the Vortex, so go there, talk to him, buy all the event gear, and most of it can be upgraded to +4 through crafting. Each boss drops a different crafting material, and you can look down here in the bottom left corner. It'll show you what the bosses drop, and it'll show you the ratio. So as far as which boss is best to farm, the 3 bosses are, level 1, 2, and then level 3, I'm going to call it. Levels 1 and 2 are the same ratio. It's 1 drop per 2 energy spent. And then level 3 is a worse ratio. You can see in the bottom left corner, it gives the same special material, but only half of the crystals on level 3. So for level 3, you don't want to ever farm level 3. You want to go in there, get your score for the Dark Vision side of this, and then never go back. You only want to farm level 2. Level 1's the same ratio, but level 2 is twice as quick, so there's no reason to do level 1. So level 2 is your farming boss. That's the one you're going to kill over and over and over for farming materials. You also want to use a bonus team. So bonuses, just like a Mog event, you'll get increased, or like a Chronicle battle, you'll get increased crafting materials by using bonuses. The list of bonuses can be seen in the news under the Celestial Machinery news bulletin. That'll show you all the bonus units. You want to use as best of a bonus units you can. If you don't have any good DPS bonus units to actually kill the boss, then just drop a bonus unit, bring one good, big hard hitter, and use them to OTK, and then use the rest of your team for bonus. When you're farming the boss, you don't got to worry about score. Just go in there, kill it, turn 1, ignore score, get your drops, use your drops to get crafting materials, and craft all of the gear to +4. Each boss drops a different material for a different piece of gear. And you can look in the bottom left corner, it'll show you what, this one drops hammer metals, the other guy drops, G element metals, etc. Now as far as the Dark Vision side of things, just like Dark Visions, it's going to be, you'll be ranked at the end, and you're going to get your ranking rewards depending on how you've ranked. Now we do know that this one is going to be having shared rank 1, so lots of people will be perfect scoring. We don't know if the final boss is going to be buffed or not from the JP server, but assuming it's similar to the JP server, it'll be pretty easy to perfect score all the way through, and a lot of players are going to be sharing rank 1, or you'll be sharing, the best you can possibly do depending on your gear and your units. If you're a newer player, you might not be able to get all the way to rank 1, but you'll get your rewards based on how well you do. Now the scoring is the same as Dark Visions. You've got the don't take damage, chain count score, etc. One thing different is the damage per turn score, or the damage turn score. These have kind of weird numbers. So the first 2 guys, the G Elements and Hammer, have a score of 17,000 points for the maximum. That translates into damage dealt of 1.031 billion. By memory, let me confirm real quick so I'm not lying to you guys. Let's see, damage cap information. Yeah, 1.030 billion. So 1,030,000,000 points. That'll get you a damage cap for the first two bosses, G Elements and Hammer. The next three bosses, Deus, and then the other two, Maya's Gear, etc., those are 29,000 score for damage dealt. That translates to an exact score dealt of 2,061,000,000, or 2.061 billion damage. They're not available yet, but when the final two bosses are available, just as a forewarning, the red Id's Gear down here, he's going to take 5,068,000,000, or 5.068 billion damage to damage cap, and then the final boss, once it's available next week, is going to require 130,000 points, or a damage dealt of 10.737 billion, or just under 11 billion damage to damage cap. Now those aren't available until next week. So that's how this works. Now we're going to go in here and we're going to start doing some cheaper runs. It's not going to be like bargain basement budget, because you do still need a little bit of a hard hitter to damage cap the final stage. The first two stages are super easy to damage cap. Level 1, level 2, those should give no one any problems. The third guy does need a little bit of planning to get it done. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video here, and then we'll get into the boss by boss explanation and some budget teams to get it done, and you can use timestamps to skip around if you want. So let's get started. Alright guys, so this one is going to be the G Elements. It's a human and machine boss. You want to give your killers to human and machine, and its weakness is darkness. So this is the team we're going to be using. So we're going to be using Jessie as a passive provoker. She's also going to be our primary breaker, and she's going to be filling LB gauge, etc. We're going to use Conch as our Dark Imbue and Dark Amplify unit. You can replace her with anyone you want for Dark Imbue, Dark Amplifies. For example, Bulwark is a great option. Madame Adele is a really good option, the Neovisions version. There's a few other units that do Dark Imbue. Kryla is a wonderful option, 45% Amplify, outstanding. But I'm using Conch because she's a 7-star, so we're trying to keep it a little budget if we can. Aerith and Red, or Cetra Descendant Aerith, are going to be our support unit. She does human and machine killer buffer. She also does a good LB damage buff. She also does a really good stat buff. She's going to be just an overall good support, and she is, in my opinion, still budget because she was given for free. At some point, I'm going to have to stop calling her budget, because if you weren't around for her event, she obviously was not free. But I think it was still recent enough that I can call her budget for now, because most players should have her for free from not too long ago. If you don't, just replace her with another unit to either buff killers or buff stats, etc. And then Shadow and Zon are going to be just for they're just going to be for support chaining, and that's pretty much it. So this is the party we're going to use, and then Cloud's going to be our damage dealer. Now Cloud isn't specifically budget, because to use Cloud for DPS, he kind of needs to be EX2 or better. We're also using a few STMRs on him. I'll show you the gear before we get started. It's not anything extreme, but it is using something like Tifa's STMR, so we're not going crazy on him. We're not using any premium cards or anything like that, so we're not going overboard, but we are giving him some STMRs, and he's going to be the only damage dealer for this clear. I'm going to try to mix it up between the clears and not just use the same guy every single clear. I'm going to try to mix it up a little bit. So this is the gear we're going to be using. We've got 275 LB, 275 machine, and 150 human killer. And then Aerith is just, I think she's just using, needles. Assassin Shadow is just using a double hand. That doesn't matter for now. A boss later in the fight is going to be needing some accuracy, which is why I just preemptively did that. Zon just as TMR and whatever. Jessie is provoking. Now the boss does single target, magic, and fire and wind damage. We're going to be killing him before he does his other skills. He also does AoE physical and AoE magical water damage, but we're going to kill him before that matters. The first 2 turns, he's only going to be doing single target stuff that Jessie's going to provoke and immune with evasion and then fire and wind resist. So here's her gear, and then Conch just has some LB fill so we can get her nice good amplify. So this is the party. Let's go ahead and get in here and get a clear in, and then I will you know, that's basically it. We'll just get a clear in. So for the first 2 turns, we're going to spend setting up. You know, you could go quicker, but I want to, you know, try to keep it a little bit more accessible, so we're going to go a little bit slower. So for the first turn, we're just going to use Jesse to triple cast Midgar Special. This is just for LB fill. That's all it really is. Xeno is going to just triple cast AR. That's just to hit the boss to get crystal drops. Shadow is going to triple cast. We're just going to triple cast Concealing Shadow. That's, again, just LB fill. Aerith is just going to cast Wish to Save the Planet. This is her human and machine killer buff. It's also a Rod in Peril, but that's obviously not important here. Conch is going to do Dark Fortismo. That's an AoE Dark Imbue and Amplify. And Cloud can just guard here. So there's the boss's single target attack on turn 1. Irrelevant, don't really care. Now, we are technically ready to go here. We could burst and get it done, but just in case your LBs weren't filled, we're going to go another turn. So we're going to, again, just use Shadow to fill LB gauge. We're going to use Jesse to fill LB gauge. We'll just have Conch do Imbue again. Xeno will just hit the boss with the Dark. We're going to use Aerith this turn to do her shifted LB. Make sure it's the shifted one because we don't want to use her base form to imbue light. It's the wrong element. And then Cloud can just guard again. His LB is good to go. So now the boss is going to do some single target magic damage. You know, whatever. Don't really care. So now we're going to go ahead and kill the boss on turn 3. So we're going to use Jesse to do her LB. That's an 87% break and a 120 all in peril. We're going to use Conch's LB. That's going to be a 25% dark amplify, which is the reason for that. Cloud's going to do his LB, base form LB. That's going to be the primary damage. Xeno is going to triple. We're going to do, where is it? AR and then double SR. And then Shadow is going to shift and do AR and double SR to support chain. So AR and double SR. Now, I've heard people say both ways. A lot of people always told me in the past that AR and then double SR is really easy for them to chain. It's a great way to get a 100 count chain score. Other people have been saying they're having problems with this. So if you're having problems with AR and double SR as you're chaining, you know, just replace that with whatever chain you want to get a 100 count chain score. You could double cast AR, you could triple cast AR, whatever is best for you to get a 100 count chain score. And then we're going to use Aerith to just quad tag attack, and we're going to send her first to get that chain built nice and high for the rest. So the way we're going to do this, we're going to start Aerith to get the chain built, then we're going to send Shadow, Xeno, and Cloud all pretty much together, and then Cloud's LB will overlay over to the AR of Xeno and Shadow, and then it'll be capped by the end of the SR frames. So we're going to build the chain with Aerith, wait just a moment, then we're going to send the other guys, and this should be a damage cap. We're looking for 1.030 billion. Now, it's not going to be a super overcap, but it should be good enough. 1.3, yes, we overcapped by 300 million. So all we needed was 1.0, we did 1.3. So there you go. And I'll show the gear again on Cloud real quick. But that was a perfect score. Cloud carried it. I could have geared up Shadow and all. Like, if you need extra damage, you know, gear your support chainers. Obviously, every little bit helps. Or use, you know, a premium unit. You can use, this is a dark fight, so, I mean, Sephiroth, obviously. If you've got Carton, he's a great option. If you've got, what's the girl's name? Angela, she's probably great. I don't have her, so I can't really demonstrate her. But someone non-elemental or dark element would be a great option here. Oliveira is a great choice. Believe it or not, the crazy little musician, his LB is dark element. That'd be great here. Or you can just use, you can also go off element if you've got really powerful gear, but we're going to try to stay on element for all of these because it makes it easier to damage cap. So there was the G elements. The first two guys are still pretty easy. The damage cap is only 1 billion needed, which is very low. We might have to step up our gear usage as we get deeper into the fights, but there we go. Let me go ahead and adjust the team, and we'll then do the next fight. See you in a second. Alright guys, next up is going to be Hammer. It's this is a machine machine and beast. It's dual race again, so Machine and Beast. It's weak to Wind element. So we're going to be using Sky instead of Cloud, and we're going to be swapping out Conch for Red. So we're going to be using Sky as a Dragoon this clear. Now the boss does single target magical water damage and some AoE stuff, but the AoE stuff, again, shouldn't happen for the first 2 turns, and we're going to be killing by turn 3, so we should be fine for that. The rest of the party is Xen is going to be stealing killers and imbue from Red and then spreading that to the party. Jesse's going to be a breaker again, Shadow and Xen for chaining, Aerith once again for stat buffing and killer buffing. So let's get in here and do the clear, and then I will show you the team and all again. Once again, this is only a 1.03 billion damage needed, so relatively easy. So we're going to use Sky to triple cast. We're going to do her Magnus, that's going to Spear Imperil. We're going to do, let's see, Severe Squall and Overcast Skies. These are going to amplify her to Wind, boost her jump damage, and all that. Keep in mind, it does not imbue her with Wind. That is very important to note. We're going to use Jessie to just, again, triple cast Midgar Special to fill her own LB gauge primarily. Red is going to just double. We're going to do, let's see, Killer Rave for a Beast Killer buff, and we're going to do Storm Charge to imbue himself with Wind element. We'll use Aerith to do just a stat buff here. We could use Shadow to like Mirage the party, and we'll do that just in case. I don't know if the boss does an AoE physical in turn 1, so we're going to Mirage the party, and then we're going to use Xen to Reflector. We're going to Critical on Red for the killer. We're going to Elemental on Red for the imbue, and we're going to Projected Mirror to just spread that to the party. That's also going to refresh any buffs we already have. So it should be single target stuff only on Jessie and water damage. Keep in mind, she did do water damage. Now, before we jump Sky, we're going to use Aerith to put up that Machine Killer buff with Wish to Save the Planet. The rest of the party can just, like, whatever. We can just guard you. We can just guard you. We can just guard you for the moment. And we're going to jump Sky. Her jump is her normal attack in the shift form. So we'll go ahead and jump Sky, get her out the way. And the boss should, once again, just do some whatever stuff on Jessie. Evasion, magical water. We're resistant with water damage. There we go. So we're going to use Jessie to shift, or to LB. That's going to break the boss, imperil, etc. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and drop our Dragoon. So once again, we're going to have Shadow, Shift, and do the same thing we did before. We're going to AR and then double SR. And then Xen is going to do the same thing. That's going to give us the chain count. So we're going to AR and double SR. And because we're using a Dragoon, we don't really got to build the chain or anything. We can just send these immediately. So we're going to go ahead and send our chainers, and then we're going to drop Sky. And that's the end of it. Wait for the chain to build. Go ahead and drop our... I didn't quite see the damage there, but assuming it was 1.03 billion or better, we'll be good. Let's see what the damage was. 1.8. We were overkilled by a tremendous amount. Okay, let me go ahead and show you the gear. And again, I am splashing in some STMRs every now and then. So this isn't, again, this is not like strictly extraordinarily bargain basement budget run or anything. But we overkilled by almost double, so I definitely kind of went more than I should. But I am trying to avoid like the premium STMRs, like, you know, Sephiroth's card and all that kind of stuff. Tifa's card would be amazing here. Obviously, I didn't want to use that. So here's the gear we did use. We used the free lance that was given from an event. Now this is technically wind element, so we didn't really need the imbue, but in case you're using like an actual better lance, like for example, like emotional lance would have been way better. You know, that's not elemental. You would have needed the imbue, but we didn't need it. Chain cap up with Magister's, her own STMR. Olive's Journal for the Machine Killer, Noctis's Chest for the jump damage, you know, Roberta's STMR. So again, we're not going pure budget here, but we're still going mostly older stuff. Some free killers, Valued Memories is Irvine's STMR. This is actually really good for the fight. This is 100 to both of the relevant killers. That is great. and then her own card. You know, we try to stay away from the premium cards if possible. The rest of the party really didn't change any. Naked Red, Jessie, exact same thing. Evasion and Water Resist is important for your Provoker. And then Xon, you know, whatever. Shadow, whatever. Aerith, whatever. If you're not using red and you need a way to get Wind Element, you can use a different support unit, and you can stick the Craftsman's Book on the Craftsman's Book. This gives you a source of Wind Imbue that Xon could then steal and spread to Sky while in the air or something. Now that I think about it, isn't Sky's jump naturally Wind Element anyway? I think it actually is, so all this worrying about imbues is not that important. But you do need an imbue or elemental weapons on your support chainers for the weakness damage. So if you decide to not worry about imbues, which you actually don't have to now that I'm realizing, then make sure you give your support chainers a wind weapon. Otherwise, you won't get credit for the full weakness damage. Anyway, there was the hammer run. Now we're going to go to the other 3 bosses, and those 3 bosses do require more damage. We might have to increase our budget for these clears, but we're going to find out. Let's go ahead and change the team and see what happens. Alright guys, next we're going to be going to Deus. This is a demon machine, weak to fire element. So demon machine is a really good choice to bring enhanced Regina, because she has 200% demon and machine killers we can steal and spread. They are only physical killers though, so it won't work for mages. So we're going to bring that. We're going to bring Xon and Aerith again just for support chaining, Jessie because, you know, super budget, super great here. And we're going to go with type 0 units for our damage. Now we could go like premium and bring Tyvis. Obviously he's a great option. But I kind of want to avoid premiums if possible. So Machina is Fire Element SLB. He's a New Vision's Awakening. His damage is okay. It's not great. And then Kurosame is a Neo Vision's base. His damage is a lot better. He is technically wrong element though. He's an ice unit, which is fine. We'll just mix elements on him. Not that big a deal. He is okay-ish damage, and he does have high natural machine killer. So this is the party we're going to use. Let's go in here and get into it, and I'll explain things as we go. So as long as you don't push thresholds, all the boss really does is single target magical holy damage, which our Jessie is provoking. Alright, so to start off, we're going to use Aerith to shift form LB to get a big stat buff. We're going to use Regina to do all 3 of her killers. Obviously, Fairy Killer is not important, but whatever. And then just, you know, whatever again. Basically get the machine and the demon killer up with Regina. Jessie can just start doing Midgar special to fill mana and her own LB for later. Kurosame and Machina can guard these first few turns. And Xon on this first turn is just going to critical on Regina to steal those killers. There we go, some single target stuff on our Provoker. We're going to kill on turn 4. I'm sorry, yeah, turn 4. Because turn 4 is when my EX2 SLB units will be ready to go. So Jessie can just repeat again. We can just guard Regina. We're going to use Aerith to double. We're going to Wish to Save the Planet and Ardent Prayer to imbue the party. Let's see, Machina and Kurosame can just keep chilling out. Xon will just, you know, whatever. Critical again. Doesn't really matter. We're waiting. We're hanging out for the moment. There's some light damage on Jessie. We're immune to it. So we're going to kill next turn. So Kurosame is going to Unified Mind. His Magnus for the big buff. We're going to Magnus on Machina. We're going to use Jessie to LB to break the boss. We can just guard Regina and Aerith. And Xon's going to double up here. We're going to go ahead and critical that bigger buff off Kurosame and then spread it to the party. So we broke and imperiled with Jessie. We, you know, did the usual stuff. At this point, you kind of get the idea of what's going on. So now it is time to kill things. Okay, so we're going to SLB with Machina, and we're going to use Xon to Blue Wave. Make sure Xon is higher in the party order than Machina. It's really important. The reason I'm using Blue Wave is slightly more frame correct for an SLB limit burst. You can chain regular bolting times 3 with Machina, but Blue Wave will be a little bit more forgiving on the chain. Aerith is going to just quad Flame Fang to build the chain, help, you know, build it We're going to use Kurosame to cap. His SLB is a one-hitter. And then Regina is going to just do Flood with Jesse from an Esper. Now we're going to send the back row guys first, for one thing, because Flood is AoE. We got to get it started before we kill the boss, otherwise it'll break. And Kurosame is a little bit slower. So we're going to send them. We're going to wait like a moment. Then we're going to send the front row. So we're going to do that. Then we're going to send the front row. And hopefully we do 2.061 or so. Let's see what happens. This should, I think, get us there. Maybe, potentially. Yeah, 2.8. We did good. We did 800 million more than we needed. I'll go ahead and show you the gear real quick. And we'll see who carried that. I'm assuming Machina did respectable because he is on element, whereas Kurosame was mixed. But Kurosame is a Neovision's base. Yeah, as expected. You know, Machina's okay. He's not great. But he definitely got us halfway there. Kurosame pushes the rest of the way. And there it is. So you don't have to stay on element. As you see with Kurosame, he is wrong element. He still did almost all the damage by himself. Not quite. And we're not going too excessive on STMRs. But like I mentioned earlier, we are slowly increasing our STMR budget as we get deeper into the Dark Visions, or the Vision world. So first few guys didn't really change. Naked, Aerith, Zahn, just, you know, support stuff. We gave him Blue Wave. Here's our Machina. He is on Diablos for Demon Killer. Now, Machina is technically a dual-wield unit. Like all dual-wield units, you want to force double hand anyway. So we're forcing double hand on him. We're not using weapon imperils, which, you know, if you bring a weapon imperil, obviously you want to match that up. We're not using weapon imperils, so we just tossed in whatever you can use naturally. We gave him a katana. Here's the build we're using. Keep in mind, this is a free gear we just got. It does give 50 Machine Killer, and it's a really high chest piece, so this is actually really good for Machine Killer. Stick that on someone. And a lot of double hand gear, again, because we're forcing double hand. Machina does have the 6x chain cap by default. No gear needed, even while double hand, so that's completely free. So he doesn't need any kind of cow gear or anything. And then we gave him a card. Again, we're avoiding premium cards. Jessie, no change. She does need a 100% light resist as a provoker. Other than that, you know, great breaker. Regina, dual wielding on a Flood Esper. By the way, Jessie, dual wielding on a Flood Esper. That's just for support chaining to build that chain count. Other than that, whatever. She does need to be enhanced for her good 200% Demon and Machine Killer. We can steal that. It's very, very powerful for this fight. And then Kurosame, once again, you know, a few STMRs. Yeah, about half STMRs. You know, nothing excessive, but we are you know, gearing it up a little bit. I didn't show you the stats. So Kurosame is 250 LB, 300 Machine, and 300 Demon. And then Machina, what do we have on him? Machina is 275 LB, 300 Machine, and only 175 Demon, because I didn't want to really go crazy on STMR, so I kind of didn't quite have it as good. But there we go. We still damage cap, not a problem. So let me go ahead and adjust the team, and we'll go to boss number 4. See you in a moment. Alright guys, next up is the, oh my god, the Amphysvena. Yeah, that's how you say it. That's right. Once again, we're looking for 2.061, and you knew it was coming eventually. This time we're going to be using Star Player Titus. Again, given free pretty recently. So this is a Thunder team, or I can't talk. This is a boss, weak to Thunder. It's a Machine and a Dragon. So we're going to use the original Lightning as our Thunder, Imbue, Amplify, Imperil, all that goodness. He's also going to be doing Gun Imperil. So here's the party. We're going to go for a turn 4 clear because we are using Star Player Titus. So that is going to do his SOB on turn 3. Now this boss is a little strange in that you need to use Dark Resist to avoid some of the damage. So we're going to bring Elena for a 100% resist buff. So Elena can just pop over there to the, we'll do the break immunity as well. Let's do a Crystal Refragmentation and Blessing of the Azure Crystal for break immunity. Let's have Aerith do her shifted LB. We can just guard Titus. We're going to use Jessie to triple Midgar special here. Get that going all the way. And then we're going to shift Lightning. We're going to do her shifted LB. That's an AoE Imbue Thunder and Amplify Thunder. Xeno on this turn can just hang out. Nothing really to do here. Nothing to see. Okay, there's an AoE attack. If you're not immune to dark damage, you will take damage from that. So make sure you have 100% dark resist on everybody. So now Aerith will just do Wish to Save the Planet for a killer buff. We're going to do Lightning. She's going to do... we can't triple cast Thunderfall, and it's more important to do Gun Target. So we're going to do Gun Target here. That's a gun in peril. We're going to use Jessie to LB and break the boss. We can go to the base form with Elena, and we're just going to hang out because nothing really to do here. Nothing to do with Xon, nothing to do with Titus. We're just going to kill next turn, and that's it. There's the single target physical attack. Here's the AoE magic dark attack, so that handles that. Okay, so now we can actually use Lightning to... Oh, we don't have mana for the good in peril. Okay, Naked Lightning, mistake. Actually, we can throw mana right here. Oh, here we go. Look at this. Boom, boom, boom. This might be fine. This might be fine. We're good. Okay, give your Lightning some mana reduction or don't bring her naked to the party. Anyway, we're going to do the good Thunder in Peril. There we go, 130 Thunder in Peril. If you don't have Thunderfall, it's not that big a deal. Anyway, we're going to now kill the boss. So we're going to triple the usual we did before. We're going to AR and double SR to get that chain count. Same thing with Elena. We're going to AR and double SR. And that's pretty much it. We can like just tag chain with Aerith because why not? And then Titus will do his SLB. I don't remember the timing on this. I know it's slow. So we're going to send this first. Then we're going to send these. And we'll send this too. I don't know the timing, but it should be in there somewhere. There it was. I saw it too. We need 2.06. So I'm pretty sure we did it here. Let's find out in just a second. 2.3. So we actually did not super overkill that time. So maybe if your Titus isn't quite as good, you might struggle a little bit. Or maybe we should add more DPS. But Titus did, on his own, damage cap for us on turn 3. Very nice. Okay, I'll show you the gear and all. And again, you know, the gear is slowly creeping higher. We did use, you know, more toys this time. So Jessie, no real changes here. Just the same build as always, 100 dark resist, or not in the negative, I should say. Lightning, just, you know, some auto buffing, and then shift form, just using Thunderfall, which was a mistake that I ever... Okay, so, yeah, I don't use Lightning that often, but she is a great budget option. So her LB is an AoE Imbue Thunder and a 25% Thunder Amplify. Obviously, if you've got Ramuh Sakura, way better option here. Sylvie's a great option too. If you want to use Sylvie, she does. She can do a 25% Amplify and Thunder Imbue and all that. But Lightning was given for free kind of recently. And then if you have Thunderfall, it's a 130 in Peril. If you don't have it, not a big deal. We're doing a 120 in Peril anyway from Jessie. So, but if you do have it, it is a little bit better. It is a little bit better. It's very expensive. Make sure you give your Lightning some MP gear. Here's the Titus. I did mention, like I said, we are slowly increasing our budget. So we are using some STMR. We're even using premium STMRs. So is this over the line? Maybe. You know, it might be. I don't know. He actually didn't overcut by that much. So we kind of sort of needed it a little bit. But here's the gear we used. And we did use a gun. So now that I'm saying you can replace her with Sylvie, actually you kind of can't replace her with Sylvie because we did need the gun in peril. 35% gun in peril. You could, of course, bring Louise instead and do that. Or you could go with a different weapon. But, I don't know. Lightning's free. Everyone has her. So, just use her. Why not? Anyway, back to Titus. So here's the Titus. We are using some STMRs. We're not using a premium card at least, so at least we're still kind of staying within budget. Dragon and Machine Killer. So there's the gear, and we've got maxed LB damage, maxed Machine Killer, but only 175 Dragon Killer. Yeah, this is actually a bad combo for Titus. He has no natural killers for these. And then Aerith is just using the whatever. I've been giving her needles. We're never using it though. Elena is for that 100% resist buff, because you do need dark resist on this guy. And then Xan, same thing we've been doing. Okay, so there was that boss. We have one boss to go. Let me build a team for that, and we will see you in a moment. Alright guys, last up is going to be the Opiomorph, which is Miang's gear in the end of the game. 29k again is the score, so we need 2.06. It's an Earth fight, so we're going to get our boy Cyan off the bench. He is an Earth DPS. We're going to see if he can solo carry this. I don't know if he can or can't, but he probably can. Let's find out. So one thing to be very aware of this boss is this boss has, not accuracy, evasion. So you need double hand or an accuracy buff, or mages, technically. If you got Beach Buoy Shinju, she's a great choice here. I don't have her. I can't use her to demonstrate, or I actually would. But, yeah, the boss has evasion. So, here we go. We're going to basically use a similar team that we just did, and we're going to use Luneth to steal a nice big aquatic buff. So, let's go ahead and get this going. Now, again, my Doma Cyan Samurai is EX2, so we got to wait till turn 4 to kill the boss. So, Aerith will just do her thing on turn 1. Elena will do her buffs on turn 1, immunity and resist buff. Jessie can just do Midgar special a few times. We're going to use Luneth to imbue himself with Earth using the Craftsman's Secret Book. Xan can just Elemental on Luneth. And we can just guard Cyan here. So we did a resist buff. The boss does dark damage, so we are immune to it with the buff. I'm not sure why the boss doesn't attack sometimes on turn 1. Maybe she's just lazy. Who knows? Who cares? Anyway, let's go ahead and do Jessie's thing again. Now we're going to do the LB of Luneth. That's a one-turn only killer buff. Now you saw how he missed, because he's not using double hand, but we don't really care about his double hand. So we're going to use critical to steal that killer buff with Xan this turn. Elena can go to the base form and then just basically hang out. Aerith on this turn can use Wish to Save the Planet for the killer. We can just hang out with Cyan again. We're just waiting. There's Devastator. I think that's dark damage. Or it didn't do anything. This boss is weird. I don't know what's going on. But we're immune anyway from the buff from Elena. So we're going to kill next turn. So we're going to go ahead and use Cyan to use his Magnus, which is hidden somewhere in here. Where's his Magnus? Does he not have a Magnus skill? Are you kidding me? How does he amplify his Earth element? Does he not have a... I'm so confused. He's got to have a Magnus. He's got to have a Magnus. Does he have no amplify for... You can tell I never use Cyan. Well, I guess we're going unamplified. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know what's going on. We'll figure it out eventually. Let's go ahead and AoE spread buffs. We'll just guard all these guys. We don't really need anything. We're going to use Jessie to break next turn. I think the boss buffs every now and then, so we're going to use Jessie to break on the kill turn in case the boss buffs this turn. The boss didn't do anything. I guess Miang's taking a nap. Who knows? Who cares? Anyway, we're going to use Jessie to LB here to break. Cyan is going to do his SLB. And then the rest are going to support chain. Now, Elena and Xan are using accuracy gear. So AR, SR, SR. AR, SR, SR. And we'll just have Aerith support real quick. I don't know the timing of Cyan, if it's slow or short. I have no idea. We're going to send him first in case it's long. I don't know if it's... Let's find out what happens. And Cyan, there you are. I saw a 2 in there. We probably damage capped. We need 2.06, so I'm almost certain we did. I saw a 2. How much did we damage cap by? I don't know what this boss is doing. So, ooh, barely. We did do it, but that was tight. That was tight. We did get it though, so it does count. What is this boss is so weird. Why does she just stand there and do it? Is she bugged? Is she just lazy? The boss doesn't actually do anything. Anyway, there was a perfect score with Doma Samurai Cyan. If you have Roka, I guess get Roka on the party for an Amplify, because I don't know how Cyan's Amplify works. Either he doesn't have one, or it's innate, and I just don't know it. I don't know. I never use Cyan. That's why I kind of wanted to get him some screen time, but whatever. It worked. Who cares? We're good to go. So, you know, Jesse's gear has not changed the entire fight. Just immunity and evasion, provoke, blah, blah, blah. Luneth, we got the imbue from this, so we could spread it to the party, mostly for the support chainers. Other than that, his LB is a one-turn 200% Aqua killer, so that was really good for helping out with the Aqua, because the boss is Aqua plus Machine. We'll come back to Cyan. Aerith, Machine killer, stat buff, support chaining, etc. Elena, double hand with accuracy, and then we got her resist buff from the shift form. And then Zahn, double hand with accuracy, so we don't miss, because the boss does have evasion. And then back to Cyan. Using decent gear here, so we've got his, you know, chain cap up with the Magisters, his own katana. We're not using weapon imperils. If you did have a weapon imperil on the party, obviously his damage would go way up. Double hand versus machines and Aqua. He's got maxed LB, max machine, and 200 Aqua, and we had 100% buff from Aerith and a 200% buff from Luneth. So, there was a perfect score. More explained version for all the fights. Hopefully this has helped you to damage cap. If you still need even more help with these bosses, let me know in the comments. You know, we still have an entire week to go. I don't mind doing different versions of teams if you still need help. Just let me know. And yep, there are all the bosses. We will have 2 more bosses next Thursday. Hope it's helped. See you next time.